I'm so sick and tired of clean.
Everything's so perfectly sterile.
It is not inspiring. You know, I end up adding plugin on plugin on plugin, just hoping to reveal a motivating motif. The way I see it, it's kind of like light. And a lot of mixes today resemble a kind of shadowless, flatly lit sonic space. But what I really love is shadow, mystery, depth,
Darkness and contrast.
I mean, I can spend $4,000 on a compressor that is described as transparent and shout with joy. Listen to my new compressor. You can barely hear it working. Isn't that great?
But that, my friend, is just not my cup of tea.
I embrace blemishes on my music. You see, perfection is this unobtainable thing that often leaves artists stuck on the production treadmill, not actually finishing anything, just sitting there with a menagerie of malnutritioned ideas.
The thing is when I sit down at the DAW with my instrument dry, it's very unlikely any idea of fishing will actually take place.
I'll tell you what's helped me capture ideas on my creative hook is processing the sound in unorthodox ways before even hitting the DAW.
I call it my commitment to degeneration.
And I've discovered something new that has blessed me with a bouquet of inspiration.
Let's explore it.
So I found myself basically in a liminal musical space.
At one time, this was a legendary music shop. Sadly sitting vacant, defunct since the 90s.
Get some film in?
Yeah,
Gnarly, huh?
just walking around, it's like the f***ing back room.
Many relics of that era, almost a time capsule. I was grateful to be there and very ecstatic when I found this.
The only issue was that it didn't work, so I took it to my good friend, my comrade Vivian. They were able to make it work again. Although later they messaged me saying that the device was potentially underpowered. They got sent the wrong fuses or capacitors in the mail. Well, call me ridiculous, but it might be the reason why this sounds so f***ed up. And if that's the case, then I love it. I'm super glad. Now that we're actually plugged into it, here's what it sounds like. And if we adjust the bass, we get a lot more distortion. And we can adjust it to taste. There's absolutely something weird happening if you listen carefully. When it's overloading, I hear some stereo imaging shifting. Do you hear that? And even the waveforms look way different, which I will show you later. There's also spring reverb on it. Let's go extreme, because we can. We'll dial it back a little tiny bit. I think it just sounds amazing. And we also have more level. There's just a lot of options for color. Here we go. Let's bring these levels up a little bit. Cut the reverb. But you know I love the reverb. It's like I finally found my sound. I can't get enough of it. But I'm just trying to show you extreme. Let's dial it way back. When I look at the waveform, one of them is completely squared out, and then the other one has some dynamics. I'm a huge fan of asymmetrical stereo imaging. You know, we get so bored just hearing the same old perfect stereo image. I like some lopsidedness, so I'm digging this asymmetrical kind of stereo image. We can even turn the reverb down a bit. Oh, there's a tone on the reverb, so we can get darker. I mean, that is just really, really handy. You may not want that reverb to be really, really bright. I feel that cavernous background type of reverb sometimes just hits perfectly for the drums. For me, what I've been liking most is just going extreme with it, you know? I want that reverb all the way up. I want to overdrive it a little bit more, and I want more bass. Let's go through some other cards. What else we got here? Again, without the reverb. Bring it back. Let's crunch it up a little more. You know, I've never heard distortion like this. Something is wrong, in the best way. This individual, Marble Gardens, sent me a pack of cards called Infinite Directions. The way they explained it to me was Brian Eno's Oblique Strategies meets Tarot. So I want to look at these and see what it can add for what I'm doing tonight. People say this all the time. Oh, the EQ is musical. This to me feels like the most musical EQ I've ever used. I can turn up the treble and it doesn't get harsh, it just gets shimmery. And then when you turn up the bass, well, you don't really get low end, but you get the most velvety saturation one can imagine. I'm going to be running so much through this from the future, I can just tell. It's going to be my number one go-to until it gets replaced. But for now, I like this more than the TX mixer. The TX mixer is cool, but it's a bit on the clean side and it has no reverb. To me, reverb is number one. You cannot be a musician without spring reverb. That's just my opinion. Take it as you will. I love smacking this machine around and getting some kind of excitement out of the spring. That'll be very fun for sound design. Imagine recording a bunch of them and stacking them up, panning them all different directions. That's going to be lovely. This mixer has already seen some good use between myself and London Rain. We created a sample the other day. Sounds like this. Running pretty much every single thing through it. Well, the trainer is not subtle by any means. It does have a very strong flavor, and you can't really get rid of it. Luckily, it's one that I really enjoy, and I have so many things to learn with it. Organ will be really cool. If there's anybody out there who wants to make a plugin with me out of this, let's do it. I don't know how to do it, but I think this has some really unique sounds, and the world needs the Trainer Wondertone plugin. Trust me, the distortion, the EQs, and the reverb. We can even sample my Echoplex through it. Think about it. Find my email. You know where I am. Now, if you haven't noticed, this video was heavily inspired by David Lynch. Rest in peace, one of my favorite directors of all time. Someone who has given me so much inspiration. If you don't know David Lynch, please allow this video to be your introduction and go check out his work. Start with Eraserhead if you're feeling psychedelic, and if you're too scared, then go with Blue Velvet. Alright, I hope you feel inspired to put down the laptop or the iPhone and go make some original music. Let's go!